Hey everybody, it's Rob here. Yesterday we got a big patch, a big balance patch for Diablo 4, and we did a lot of testing. We also got all new 32 malignant hearts, which we haven't tested yet, but we're gonna do this soon. I already made a video going over every one of them. I'll link that in the description. I'm also going to have a link to this very spreadsheet here that I go over in the description. And these hard powers will impact almost every single build. And today I want to share with you what builds I think are currently the best for Season 1, to start Season 1, to have a lot of fun, and to just blast through the game and probably blast all the way to level 100. So obviously this all is very new, and I've not been able to test every build myself yet, so these are just my thoughts. Take this with a grain of salt. I will do my very best to keep this list updated throughout the season, because this will most likely change as we figure out how these new hearts and new powers work and interact with each other. But I think I have a pretty good idea of general power level of most of these builds. And yeah, I just want to share my thoughts here, so let's begin. Obviously, strongest build in the game right now, this comes to no surprise, is the Twisting Blade Rogue. For some reason it dodged all the nerfs. It has basically infinite damage with all the poison imbuement double dipping that's in the game. If you just keep pressing the skill, it gains from the hearts, it gains an all new all imbuement effects at the same time. You can see here. Your attacks have a 15% chance to apply all imbuement effects at 50% normal potency. This is literally insane for the rogues. And the rogue is already the best starting class. It gets the Twisting Blade, the aspect, very early on. And yeah, it's just gonna crush the season, guys. I'm fully expecting at least a third of the player base, or even more, to start with rogue. And I mean, there's even other very good rogue builds too, which we will get in a second. Another top contender here in the S tier is the Werenado Druid. There's been a slight unstoppable nerf to Grizzly Rage, but as everybody's crit damage got nerfed, this Druid still gets 1000 crit damage from Grizzly Rage. Plus, the Unstoppable is easy made up by the new super hard power here that allows him to go into Grizzly Rage again at a 60% chance whenever he gets hit by a crowd control, stun, freeze, or knockdown. So I'm just assuming that this Druid, I mean, if he's not unstoppable and he's gonna get CC'd, like more than half the time he'll just get into Grizzly Rage again and get infinite resources. It has auto aim, it has perma-max movement speed, they didn't change that. It has infinite resources, it has insane damage. It's just one of the best builds in the game for sure. The only problem is it requires you to get a unique. So that's why I think that Twisting Blades is better, because you need the Tempest Roar for this one, and I know many of you Druid players out there how hard that can be to find. The other top 3 build here in S tier is the Bulwark Druid. Yeah, there's two Druid builds. The Bulwark Druid has received a slight nerf to its cooldown capabilities, so now what you have to do is, in order to reset Bulwark, I already made a video that I'll also link in the description, you have to hit twice. You have to proc the Nature's Fury passive twice, but that is not really that big of a deal, because like also the Bolster, like the Fortify got buffed, and lots of different things have basically been increased here for this Bulwark Druid. And they forgot one major thing in the patch, like they nerfed all this damage reduction, but they didn't nerf the low life version, which relies on damage reduction while injured. And in the game I have like 80% plus damage reduction whenever I'm injured, and they didn't touch this at all. On top of that, the Bulwark could benefit like crazy from the Barb here, where critical strikes basically stack on the enemy for 4 seconds and then increase by 10% for every second that they stack, and then it releases it in a big AoE. So this is like crazy area damage scaling potential with the Bulwark Druid, because he can just stay in those monsters and pull them all. And I mean, this Bulwark Druid, it already one-shots everything on the Nightmare Dungeon 100, because it scales with the monster HP. So I think this is currently the best Nightmare Dungeon pusher in the game by a mile. Werenado might be another contender to clear the first 100, because it's just like so versatile if you get lucky and get the Temp Store. But overall, I think with Bulwark it's a lot easier, because it has a ton of survivability even after the nerfs, again because we have the injured scaling. In A tier, we're starting here with the Bone Spear Necro. So this one got about half damage nerf. But it's still very strong. I've killed Uber Lilith. I'm also going to put that in the description with it. It's still going to be a sub 2-minute kill with a Bone Spear Necro, and that's even without the hearts. And the Necro gets one of the strongest hearts, which is the Great Feast here, where with no minions, this bonus, so you get 75% increased damage, applies to you and just drains a bit of essence. So this is gonna be literally insane. It just drains a bit of essence, but it's just so strong, man. We'll see how that's gonna turn out. But I also think the Bone Spear is in the leveling meta in 4-man, so it's gonna be really strong for that. That's for sure. Next one is the Shred Druid. Probably you guys have seen. This one is also amazing at killing bosses, and it's also amazing in speed. So I already made the speed version, and I'm already going to put the boss killer in the description. Like this lightning one may have gotten nerfed a little bit. You guys have seen the billion damage, but they didn't nerf the poison, similar to the Twisting Blades. The poison still has like double, triple, quadruple dipping with the Toxic Claws. And this one also benefits tremendously from obviously the 1000 crit damage of Grizzly Rage, and then you just keep getting Grizzly Rage whenever you get CC'd. So I think this is a very strong build, and this one is also a very nice leveling build. We're going to get to the leveling ones in a second. And then we have various rogue builds here. I think rogue is a very well-rounded class now. They have dodged all the nerfs, basically. I mean, there was like some very minor like healing nerfs and stuff, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, like we're playing Diablo, like you need damage in this game. And rogue has a lot of it. And all these builds, Barrage, Trap, Flurry, Rapid Fire, Penetrating Shot, seem to be very, very strong here, sitting very comfortable in A tier. I think Twisting Blades is still undisputed king because of this poison interaction. But all these builds are very viable, and obviously like all the builds benefit tremendously from getting all the imbuements. It's gonna be crazy. Right now I'm like kind of debating. It looks like I'm gonna be starting a Twisting Blade Rogue, like 90% chance, or there's a 10% chance for Bone Spear. I'm gonna test that live on stream today. We're gonna do some leveling practices and then I'll make my final decision. But yeah, I think Rogue is insane, my friends. So that's pretty much covering the A tier. Like this is just a bunch of Rogue builds: Shred Druid, Bone Spear. And I think next here in B tier we have the Pulverize Druid. This one is very strong, very good AoE, probably what Upheaval Barb could have been. But this is on a Druid spec. And it's very cool, it's very good for speeds. It got like a slight nerf from the Codex, that's why I put it a bit down, because it lost some of the damage there. But overall it's a very solid build, and yeah, could be a nice leveling build next to the Shred Druid. Because Werenado definitely is not leveling, you need Tempest Roar for this one to work. But yeah, you get the strongest build for that. And then here I have various Barbarian builds. I think these 4 now, with all the nerfs, are very equal in power. Like Hoda Barb got his damage divided by 3 or something, like the Quake's completely gone. And it also, Barb has not really any like offensive, like class-specific hearts. So the only one that could be like somewhat usable here is this one, where you get crit chance. And if this one snapshots with Whirlwind, I wrote it down here, that Whirlwind can potentially snapshot this crit chance. But the thing is, like, Whirlwind already has a lot of crit chance, so I'm not really sure how strong that's going to be. And yeah, the gore is still pretty bad. I mean, like, in general, I'm not a big fan of like taking away a control that the player has over their characters and just making it automatically trigger. Like, it automatically triggers now every 2 seconds, and you have no control over when you want to release the damage. And obviously you can't stack the damage as high, even though the cap is gone. You still only can stack it for 2 seconds, and then like the release of the damage just happens and you can't control it really. So yeah, it just like feels bad. But Whirlwind Barb is probably still the best for speed, and Hoda Barb can be very nicely played overall, like in Hell Tides and all that stuff. And then we have Double Swing. This might end up being the best pushing build on Barb now. It got minor buffs and it didn't get that many nerfs. Obviously, like the crit and vulnerable and main stat on 4 weapons hurts all the Barb builds a lot. But still, Double Swing got a couple minor buffs to like some of the aspects and some of the vulnerable procs. Yeah, and then we have the Thorns Barb here. This one used to be very strong, and you could like very comfortable clean up Energy 100 with this. But with all the toughness nerfs, this might get rough here. I don't know, like we'll have to see. But you know, Thorns is a build that relies on getting hit. And obviously, if you're getting hit, and like your toughness is nerfed, like close damage, damage reduction while fortify, all that is nerfed like crazy. I'm not sure if it's really going to be that feasible to just stand there and let yourself get hit by the monsters. There's probably a few more honorable mentions here in D tier, but I don't really know all the like off-meta builds. I mean, there's like an Immortal Blood Necro and even potential for like a Summoner Necro. I think these would be about somewhere here in B tier. Because Bone Spear is not really that great in pushing Nightmare Dungeons, because the intelligence doesn't really, like intelligence scales resistance, and resistance doesn't really work. And the Blizzard devs have said they need like until like season 2 or season 3 to fix this. So yeah, the intelligence classes, I mean, we're gonna get to Sorc in a second, are like not really well-rounded for surviving anything right now. Like they don't have armor, and well, their intelligence resistance scaling doesn't work properly or has like very little impact. And yeah, we have no fix for that. So maybe this Immortal Blood Necro actually can compete with Bone Spear for Night Management pushing. And yeah, Summoner Necro seem to get a lot of buff. I like to see that. It has to be seen like how strong it's going to be at the end. But I think probably around B tier. I definitely don't think it can compete with S tier builds or even Bone Spear in like a group scenario. No shot. But yeah, there will probably be a couple more builds here, guys. I just wanted to, like, you know, highlight the most popular builds. And yeah, on Sorcerer here, we have the Ice Shard and the Blizzard Sorcerer sitting comfortable in the S tier, man. Like, Sorcs really got it hard, guys. They got huge nerfs. Their control aspect is gone. They're obviously suffering from getting all the toughness removed. They're suffering from losing the 750 armor into skulls because Sorcerer already didn't have any armor to begin with. And then the Blaze passive also got nerfed. So yeah, Sorcerer, while it is probably good in the leveling experience, it's not really that great anymore. Just for like overall playing, and you'll just be like, you'll be relying on your defensive skills. You have some immortality, but aside from that, man, you'll just die on the Sorcerer. And yeah, I think this is the tier list. Like top 5 builds, like I said, man. Twisting Blade Rogue, I think best overall build in the game. We have Werenado, also very, very strong build. It just requires a legendary, unique Tempest Roar to work, so I think Twisting Blades just has the edge here. Then we have Bulwark, the best Nightmare Dungeon pusher in the game. Infinite, crazy toughness with individual damage reduction. Bone Spear, still one of the strongest builds even after the nerf, because we get a very powerful heart here. And then we have the Shred Druid, which still can one-shot every boss in the game with Toxic Claws and is an insane speedrunner. Sadly, the Barbs are all down here because even, you know, I like Barb, but Barb, you know, as a super hard, it got damage reduction. 15% chance to ignore incoming damage. While every other class got like some offensive capability, like 75% damage here, all imbuements here, like more projectiles on the Sorcerer, and then Barb gets some 15% chance to ignore damage. It just feels bad, man, with ignore pain. So yeah, I think Barb is a big loser in this patch for sure, next to Sorcerer, obviously. And the other classes are dominating. I have like 2 more tier lists, because you guys know I'm gonna be blasting to level 100. And I made like a tier list for that. I think just by class, not by build. So I think first of all, in the leveling, just 1 to 50, Rogue Twisting Blades has the edge, seems to be the best. It's just so strong, it gets the aspect right away, has crazy mobility, and it's also the best class overall to level. Insane DPS, the poison just deals infinite damage, double dipping, triple dipping with all the stuff, and yeah, this is most likely gonna be my starter class. Then we have the Druid. I could see the Druid potentially winning, even though Druid is very bad in leveling. Especially if you're playing solo. But if the Druid gets lucky and get a Tempest Roar early on, because it's a longer race now, especially with all the XP nerfs that we've seen, I could very well see that the Druid is pulling ahead here. If a Druid gets lucky and gets Tempest Roar, it could compete with the Rogues for first 100. But overall, like, just reliably, Rogue is the best pick by far. Bone Spear is also pretty good with the new heart. The downside is, like, you need the exposed flash ring on Necro. If you don't get that, the essence management will be hard. But Bone Spear Necro has good damage, like, throughout the entire process, basically. Then I have Barb here on kind of the 4th slot. Bleed into Whirlwind is still a good combination. We even got, like, a bit of buff. Like, we are playing, like, a Bleed Deathblow Barbarian build with Rend. Has a slow start, but in mid and late game, seems to be somewhat decent. Obviously, it can't compete with Rogue, Necro, or Druid. But still, it's okay overall. We'll see how it's going to turn out. And then, yeah, well, in F tier here we have the Sorcerer. Sorcerer is very good at 1 to 50 leveling, but then if you don't get Raiment of the Infinite, or if you like miss all this toughness right now, I think it just falls off a cliff like after you hit like 60 to 70, and then all the other classes will just massively pull ahead. But yeah, in leveling 1 to 50, if you only care about that, that's still pretty strong. And obviously, guys, with all these XP nerfs that we've gotten, I think our XP got like, you know, we had like 30% in +3, and now in +3 we have like 4.5%. So yeah, we got like a 20-25% XP nerf overall throughout everything. And then obviously we got a lot of debuffs to our crit damage, to our vulnerable damage, a lot of nerfs there, a lot of damage, the nerfs to our toughness. I'm expecting, like, I initially expected the race to last for 24 hours, and now I'm more thinking like it's gonna be like about 30 hours. So like 5-6 extra hours for the race. But my plan is to do one session. We're gonna be starting on Thursday evening here, and we're gonna try to go all the way until we're level 100, so probably until Saturday morning. That's what I'm preparing for. But yeah, guys, again, take this all with a grain of salt. These are just my thoughts. I played a lot of hours, guys. I played a lot of different classes. I think this is fairly accurate, but this one is going to change for sure, especially as we get to play these Malignant Hearts, because nobody even has, like, you know, played them or knows exactly how the mechanics work, because there's no PTR server. We're basically going to have the season start, and this is going to be our test server. And yeah, I'm expecting things to go crazy. I'm expecting things to be, or some things to be broken. I think they said it on the developer stream as well. But yeah, I'm still looking very much forward for the season. Even though Barb and Sorcerer really need help, I hope that this could be addressed in future patches. And we get some quality of life, like stash spaces, filter, you know, like a resistance fix, like all these kinds of things that the game really, really needs. Those would be awesome to see. I'm still pumped for the season, guys. I'll see you live on Twitch and here on YouTube and everywhere. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Rob2628 over and out. Bye-bye. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.